capital projects plan for 2023 through 25 and the bus replacement plan for 2023 through 27 are posted on the state gateway site and the SCS website for viewing. The capital projects fund and bus replacement fund no longer exist as of 2019. Public schools are still required to develop and advertise these plans because the requirement has not yet been removed from the Indiana Code by the state legislature. I guess they have more important things to do. We now fund capital improvements and purchase school buses through our operations fund. The notice to taxpayers, also referred to as Form 3, has been uploaded to the Gateway site and posted on the SCS website as well. That brings us to tonight with the public hearing, and after tonight to October 3rd for adoption of the 2023 budget. The number of days between advertisements, hearings, and adoption exceed the minimum number of days required by statute. Any questions regarding the calendar of advertisements? No questions? Page 2 is a breakdown and description of our funds and the expenditure areas within those funds. The total 2023 budget is $19,386,777. This reflects an increase of $568,044 or 3.02% over last year. The education fund makes up 61.55% of the total budget, or $11,871,679. Expenses in the education fund are those directly related to student instruction. Some of those expenses include teaching and instructional assistance costs, instructional supplies, staff development, along with our special education cooperative and the Prosser Vocational Technical School expenditures. The debt service fund is 14.2% of the total budget, or $2,745,563. The debt service fund is utilized for payments of our bond issues for facility improvements. The operations fund for 2023 is $4,646,535, or 24.09% of the total 2023 budget. Expenses not directly related to student instruction are covered by the operations fund. Among those listed are custodial and transportation staff salaries. The central office also falls within the operations fund. Utilities, property casualty insurance, maintenance and repairs of buildings are examples of operational fund expenditure, as well. Dr. Rutherford and I are non-essential personnel. That's why we're in the operations fund, and that's how the state views us. The rainy day fund is the smallest of the funds at $105,000, or 0.13% of the total budget. In the past, this fund was used for the teacher retirement buyout programs. We no longer have that obligation, and we'll be looking to try to build this fund for the next few years for unexpected expenses. Any questions regarding the funds and expenditures? Okay, thank you. Page 3 is a copy of Budget Form 3, also referred to as the Notice to Taxpayers. As stated earlier, this has been posted on the State Gateway site and the Salem Community Schools website. The notice contains important information for the community. It notifies readers of the date, time, and location of the public hearing and the adoption meeting. The Operations Fund maximum levy and property tax cap credit estimates are included in the notice. Typically, the tax cap estimate is higher than the amount certified in the 1782 notice or budget order. At least we hope it's higher than advertised, and will come down somewhat. The boxes at the bottom of the notice show the four funds rainy day, debt service, education, operations. Their totals the amounts we are advertising for the levies, and only two of those funds are levy funds. The operations fund and debt service fund are levy-driven funds versus the education and rainy day funds, which are education funded totally by the state, rainy day funded by transfers by the school district. So the amounts we are advertising for levies are higher than the DLGF estimates. The current 2022 tax levies, and finally on column 5, and the percentage increase of advertised amounts over 2022. Does anybody have any questions on Form 3, notice to taxpayers? We do hope that that tax credit's a lot higher than what it's actually going to come in at, because we're already significantly hit by the circuit breaker. Page 4 are past and projected tax levy rates. This sheet compares budget fund amounts, levies, and tax rates from 2021 to the advertised rates for 2023. The total budget amount in 2021 was $17,808,692. We are advertising a total budget amount of $19,368,777 for 2023. That is an increase of $1,560,085, or 8.76% over the 2-year period. We are advertising an operations fund levy higher than the Department of Local Government Finance is projecting. The levy and the rate will be reduced during the budget finalization process in Indianapolis in November and December of the current year. If we rely on the 5% assessed value growth quotient established by the DLGF, the total tax rate could be 8 cents higher than where it currently is. If we rely on the assessed value figure we received from the courthouse and data we're seeing around the state, the final total tax rate for 2023 will be lower by as much as 10 to 12 cents. We advertise high historically to ensure we collect all the levy funds we're entitled to. With the local property tax circuit breaker impacting us so negatively, we cannot afford to leave anything on the table. At the bottom of page 4, there's a green box illustrating the advertised and final tax rates for pay 2021 and pay 2022, along with the advertised rate for 2023. In 2021 and 2022, the final tax rate was certified 14 cents lower than the advertised rate. We believe that certainly will be the case, if not more, again in 2023. With the anticipated growth in assessed valuation around the state, as I just said, we might expect an even greater difference to the good, our good, in 2023. Any questions regarding past and projected rates and levies? Thank you. Page 5. Page 5 looks at revenue expenditure projections for 7/1/22, July 1 of 22 through December 31 of 2023, the 18-month cycle that encompasses the public school budget process. The focus of this period is the last 6 months of the current year and the 12 months of the ensuing year. These are projections, however. These are projections, however. They are conservative projections based on our recent history. The figures come from the drafts of Budget Form 4B for each of the funds. The forms that we'll submit through Gateway once the board adopts the 2023 budget. Various factors could impact these figures in either a positive or negative manner. In the past, we've witnessed funding declines from the state during economic downturns. There is also the possibility of unexpected expense that might arise involving equipment failure in the district. These are projections. However, I believe they are solid projections. Any questions on revenue expenditure projections for the 18-month period of 7/1/22 to 12/31 of 23? Thank you. And finally, page 6 is from the first page of the budget forms data entry on the State Gateway site. The Error Prevention Report is a tool provided by Gateway to allow users to check their work for procedural errors. That would be me. After running an error audit, the only item showing is the budget ordinance resolution not being signed and submitted. That does not occur until the adoption of the 2023 budget during the October 3, 2022 school board meeting. This error audit does not mean the DLGF will certify the levies and rates submitted for Salem Community Schools by us. It simply means there are no errors in the process or data entry by the user that crosses the various forms. We typically receive a 1782 notice or budget order toward the end of December of the current year. Are there any questions regarding the error prevention report? I greatly appreciate your patience and tolerance as I go through something that I really enjoy, but I know that few others do. So this, if there's no other questions, this concludes the public hearing. Thank you for your attention, and we need a motion to reopen the meeting.
Dwight makes the motion. Allison seconds. All those in favor. We reopen the meeting here. Move on to action item number 15. Consider resolution for transfer of funds in 2023.
Yes, thank you. This resolution sets the amount the school board approves for transfer each month from the education fund to the operations fund. Each school district in Indiana is permitted to transfer up to 15% of the annual revenue received in the education fund to the operations fund. Schools transferring more than 15% are scrutinized by the Distressed Unit Appeals Board, or DUAB. We sometimes refer to it as the naughty list. The resolution before the board permits us to transfer an amount up to $170,000 per month from the education fund to the operations fund, or $2,040,000 over 2023. We anticipate this will be approximately 15.66 of the anticipated education fund revenue. If enrollment increases slightly over this current projection, this amount will be below the 15% transfer. Was that you or me?
Siri?
That's
From the friend?
yeah, I heard you.
I don't know.
Shit.
That's right.
Siri had a question.
This is what I found.
This is what I found. Hope they found a lot of money. That would be good. A lot of cash would be good. So as I was saying, if our enrollment increases slightly over the projection, we'll be below the 15% transfer. If our enrollment drops below the projection, we will transfer less than the full $2,040,000. The transfer makes up for a lack of funding and property tax dollars needed for custodial wages, supplies, equipment, as well as administrative costs and equipment, largely due to the property tax circuit breaker. Again, the resolution does not bind us to the full amount, but provides flexibility to transfer some or all of the amount as needed. This is one less resolution we will need to adopt and sign in October. So tonight I would ask for action on this item, recommend approval of this resolution.
Becky White makes the motion. Becky Humphrey seconds. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Action item number 16, consider resolution for local income tax monies in 2023.
This resolution allows for the allocation of local income tax, LIT, monies to be receipted to the operations fund for 2023. We are anticipating $237,227 in local income tax being received during 2023. This resolution permits a school district to receive $19,768.92 per month in the operations fund. This has been the school district's practice since 2020 budget year. Again, this is one less resolution we will need to adopt and sign next month, so recommend action and approval on this item.
To make that motion. Becky Humphrey seconds. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Action item number 17, consider approval of an affidavit for payment.
Yes, the Indiana State Board of Accounts recommends the school board approve affidavits for payment prior to submission to U.S. Bank in Louisville. This affidavit payment will be paid from the remaining funds from the 2018 construction fund. The affidavit is payment for $25,519 to the SCR group for replacement of rooftop HVAC units at Salem Middle School, and $11,160 to Tyler Technology for Geotab devices for tracking our school buses. There is still $59,134 remaining in that fund that can be used for unplanned repairs and maintenance while providing relief to the operations fund. Recommend approval of that.
Becky White makes the motion. Allison seconds. All those in favor, raise your hand. All right. Number 18, I'm going to go through each one of these as a whole here. Consider approval fundraisers for BSC Art Grade 3 through 5 Christmas card fundraiser, SMS and SHS choirs, butter braids, Lions Unified Car Wash, Lions Unified T-shirt sale with links. And I think today was the last day on that T-shirt sale. Yeah. In case anyone's out there watching. SMS and SHS boys tennis selling cookie dough, school nutrition program T-shirt and sweatshirt sales through links, and that's still going on, Karen, until.
We're waiting approval. Hopefully.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. So this one hadn't started yet. Esports T-shirt sales through links. Allison makes a motion. Becky Humphrey seconds. All those in favor, raise your hand. Consider approval of an out-of-state filled an overnight trip to Disney's Imagination Campus, Orlando, Florida, March 25th through 31st, 2023. Mrs. Whitlatch and Mr. Lewis.
She's here
Mrs. Lewis, would you like to talk about that?
I'm so excited about this.
What do you want to know?
Do you need a chaperone?
Yeah.
I've already volunteered. I've already had like 10,000 volunteers already.
I just want my name to be somewhere in that.
All right. Do you have any questions or anything?
Will you tell us a little bit about it?
Yes, I've been doing this for almost 6 years, and I started it actually at Henryville when Mr. Albert was my principal, and we thought it would be something different for the kids. And it's it used to be called the Disney Youth Education Program, and they have a bunch of programs that you take coursework with in leadership, customer service, but we've also done careers in zoological sciences, careers in marine biology. And this year, because I've also noticed that a lot of kids don't have a lot of an imagination at all, we looked at a class called it's Imagineering in Theme Park Design, and how everything has gone step-by-step process with the different types of jobs, meaning that the engineering side to the technical side to the theater side to the putting together the colors, the field, sound, all those kinds of things, and getting them kind of in that whole immersion of it. But then also, I don't know if you got to see the whole packet that they were from last year, not from this year, of course, because it's changed every year, but they also do assignments throughout the day at every single park, and there's always something you can utilize to teach them something. And we also do like history side of it, and we go make them go to the Hall of Presidents. You know, sometimes they don't like that kind of thing. But doing the flag retrieval at Magic Kingdom at 5 o'clock and watching them, you know, deal with the veterans and seeing how things go. And we teach them customer service a lot, and we also talk about logistics with how do you get this many people to this location at this time and this many in a park and get the reservations, and because now they do park reservations and all that. So, and we try to help with discounts because I do have an annual pass, so I can go whenever I want. But I really think it's fun to give kids an opportunity to do something totally different, and that also includes even the etiquette side of things and not doing those quick service restaurants, doing the big sit downs, getting them to see what it's like, and just doing whatever we can to give them an opportunity.
Can we ask a big favor that afterwards, will you come and give us a big report? I'd love to hear.
Absolutely.
I'd love to hear the kids.
I actually
talk
made
about
our
it.
students from Henryville, they had to do a PowerPoint presentation and all of those kinds of things, and actually talk it through and answer questions of the board. And so,
Would you please do that for us?
Absolutely.
We would love that. That would be
Absolutely.
learning experience for us.
Yes.
I just think what an incredible opportunity for them. I mean, so many things to learn, and
There's a lot.
I'm excited.
It's a lot of work.
How many approximately will we be taking?
We're not sure because we did not say anything. I mean, some of the kids heard stuff, but we have not had a meeting yet until tomorrow because we wanted to make sure there'd be an approval. But I've talked to about 40 kids that are interested, but I usually cut it down to say that we only take like 20 to 25, because if we do have, you know, that many, we usually do one chaperone per 10 students. If anybody wants to see code of conduct stuff, I also have that, parent documentation, that kind of thing, because we want to make sure that we're covered on every aspect.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
Okay.
well, I'm excited, and I would be happy to make a motion.
Okay.
And I'll second it.
Allison makes one motion, Becky.
Humphrey
Way to
seconds.
go.
All those in favor.
Okay, gotcha.
Becky Humphrey. And Becky White. Becky White second. Sorry.
I want to make sure I'm documented there.
Yeah.
She knows my name.
Yeah. Number 20, action item. Consider recommendation of a full fuel provider for 2022-2023.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to acknowledge Mr. Whedon coming in tonight. I know he regrets missing my budget hearing narrative, and as he looks forward to that he'll watch it on the Lions Network, I'm sure, right after you get home tonight. Thank you. I appreciate your attention. So, this item, prior to the pandemic, we had contracted fixed pricing on fuel, and during the pandemic, we got to a point where we used far less fuel because the buses weren't running and we weren't in person, and we got away from it. And fixed pricing prior to the pandemic was good for us because it lets you know what your budget numbers were going to be for fuel, and it was helpful. So I reached out to Premier, and I am going to ask you tonight to recommend Premier as our fuel provider for this coming school year, 2022-23 school year. And I had sought some pricing for fixed diesel and fixed gasoline, but it turns out because they follow the oil futures and they do a lot of hocus pocus, you know, with what they believe the markets are going to do, that it turns out the fixed pricing is slightly higher than what we're currently paying at the pump for the pump price. So I would now knowing that, I would recommend that we stick with the floating price, as it's called, and if we see a trend where fuel, because fuel is beginning to come down, and if we see a trend where fuel is going to start to spike back up again, we may want to reapproach Premier, say, can you give us some new prices on fixed costs for diesel and gasoline? So for the time being, I'm going to ask the board to recommend, or approve rather, Premier companies as our fuel provider for diesel and gasoline for 22-23, but we're going to hold off for the time being on our fixed pricing to see what the market does going forward. Does that make sense? Okay, thank you.
Mark makes that motion. Becky Humphrey. Yep, seconds. Allison, all those in favor, raise your hand. It was Mark, Becky Humphrey. Sorry. Yep. You would think it'd be easier with less people here tonight, but it's. Consider approval of useless and obsolete items from SMS Media Center.
Okay. Oh, I forgot we had those items. We have several items from the Media Center, primarily books, as I understand it, that we'd like to declare useless and obsolete, and I believe the intent is for the staff and students to first come in and look and see if they would like to retrieve, thank you, Jan, any books. Along with the books, there are 200 VHS tapes, 2 spinning bookcases, 500 worn and outdated paperback novels, a glass bookcase, 1,500 weeded library books. Does that mean they're frayed on the page, or I don't know what weeded means? Yeah. What's it? Weeded? Oh. 1,500 weeded library books. Library books will be offered to staff, then students. Remaining books be donated or recycled. And I appreciate Mrs. Hazelip pointing out that some of the books are older than me, which means there must be hieroglyphics or some Sanskrit, from an ancient civilization. So that's a recommendation tonight to declare these items useless and obsolete.
I'll make the motion.
Becky White makes the motion. Allison seconds. All those in favor, raise your right hand.
Thank you.
Oh, that's great. Mr. Whedon.
I know like last spring, Coach Malloy came in and addressed you just about the possibility of moving 6th grade B team, making it a 5th grade team. So obviously it's something we needed to discuss. So we've got together a couple times with the varsity girls coach and Mr. Hickey and Mr. Malloy, the boys varsity coach, and talked to the principals at both the elementary at the time. When Blake Baker was filling in at the time there because we didn't have our principal yet. And then Kevin Albertson was also in the meeting, and we just discussed, the pros and cons of it, and just logistics of it. And just think at this point, the things in athletics, just like everything else, has shifted a little bit. Used to be, 6th grade, we'd get 35 kids come out to try out. We're having, the last number of years, we're having trouble putting together a full A and B team. We'll get a few kids in there, but it kind of makes it kind of thin. Some kids are playing both A and B just to make them, after they sub in and out. So we're looking at the possibility of, making a independent 6th grade team and 5th grade team in place of that B team. Most of the schools, I talked to the other conference schools a couple weeks ago at our meeting, and I asked them, kind of told them, I think all but 2 schools are already doing that. They've been doing it for years, and so when we do play other schools, typically our 6th grade B team is playing someone else's 5th grade team. Some of them don't want to play us because we're 6th graders, so they would just bail out and just play one game. So we just think in the long run, this is kind of where it's shifted a little bit. I think with the increase of AAU, travel ball, a lot of these kids are playing 1st and 2nd grade. So I think, used to be 6th grade was that first time everybody came out. That's why you got a lot of people. I think now kids are kind of thinking, well, I wasn't on this AAU team, haven't played for 4 or 5 years. And I think in their minds, that's why one of the reasons we're not getting a lot of kids coming out. So we just think this could help us down the road. 7th grade, because I kind of looked at 7th grade as well. Used to be we had to make cuts there. Really, we don't make, very rarely do we have to make any cuts now. Most of the time we have about 10 or 12 kids come out and that's it. So it's like, I don't think that cutting a 6th grade B team, putting that out and adding a 5th grade is going to affect the number of kids coming out 7th, 8th grade. So that's just kind of one of the things I wanted to run by and see if that was something that would be feasible.
So your suggestion is to keep the 6th grade as the A team, move 5th graders up as the B team. You're not asking for any pay for no coaches, no change to no schedules.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. What it would be is Yeah, so we would call it 6th and 5th grade,
Yeah.
because that's what everybody calls them, instead of A and B.
Yeah.
But it would be the exact same thing. The A game, the 5th graders would play first when the B team normally did. We would not move 5th graders up to 6th grade. I don't want to displace 6th graders. We talked about that and coaches agreed. So yeah, we got this, you know, the new Jimmy Chitwood coming up in 5th grade is not going to bump out of 6th grade. You know, and whatever coach decides to keep, if we get, you know, which most of our coaches want to keep at least 12 kids if possible. You know, it gets a little harder after that getting playing time. And like I said, we really haven't brought in that many per class, right about that number. So about the same amount of kids, and you know, most of our coaches down there are trying to work to get kids playing time and not necessarily, you know, focus on the wins and losses. So yeah, they would just replace that. The 6th grade coach would be, that's what we pay right now to pay coach 2 positions. So it'd be the same thing. We have had people who have said they would volunteer, you know, to be volunteer assistants, which we do that throughout, and we've done that before where we've had a volunteer assistant coach the B team. As long as the head coach, if you will, the paid 6th grade coach, that's what they want to do, that's fine. Or if they just want to coach both of them, that's fine as well. They still practice together. The 5th and 6th grade, we don't feel like it's that much of a, you know, difference physically, and be a lot more work done that way. And looking at, and I know one of the things I didn't want to just jump right into it because without, you know, some talk, because one of the concerns that I had was, you know, what happens with, say, volleyball now. You know, that sometimes opens the door. A lot of 5th grade parents can be saying, well, we want these kids playing. Volleyball has not been an issue. I can tell you about behind uniforms, that's not an issue. We got 24 kids almost every year coming out for 6th grade. So I think, and you don't see as much, I know they do have club volleyball, but around our area, a lot of our kids don't do that. So this actually is their first opportunity to be part of the school team. So they're still excited about it. We're getting 24, 25 kids coming out. Cheers the same way. And those are our only independent 6th grade activities. The other ones like our tennis, cross country, wrestling, those things are, you know, 6 through 8. So I don't think we need the, you know, 5th grade to fill in those gaps.
So this will just be for boys and girls basketball?
Right now, that's what we're looking at, because that's the only one we're seeing where we're struggling numbers there.
And just to make sure that everybody hears it, is that the 5th graders will not bump the 6th graders.
Correct.
So just want to make sure that
Yeah,
that.
we don't want to make it an open, because the way I see it is be like 7th and 8th grade. We don't pull a 7th grader up because they're the you know, a very good basketball player, and bump an 8th grader out of a spot. You know, that's the displacement we're talking about. 8th grade plays 8th grade, 7th plays 7th. So this would be the exact same thing. We're adding a 5th grade team, not a combined 6th grade. Now, if we had a situation, which we've had with our girls a couple times in the last few years, where we only had maybe 4 girls come out, then yeah, you might have to bump up some kids, maybe play both, or just bump them up if we have that many 5th graders. That would be the, you know, we've had to do that before 7th and 8th grade as well, which a lot of schools around us. We do it a lot less than most schools, but you know, that could happen. But we're not going to cut 6th graders so that we can pull up 5th graders, if that makes sense.
And let's kind of explain the need for this. Was we had the 5th graders that did want to play basketball and really didn't have games to play, and it was kind of where there was a little bit of a, is that true? I mean, it was hard to find a competitive person.
Not on my side of it. I'm sure there's a lot of 5th graders who want that. Our side of it that we're looking at is we're not filling the 6th grade B very well.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I didn't know like if 5th graders really even had very much competition there with other schools.
Just if they do travel ball.
Yeah, okay. That's what I mean, like for their own school. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so this is really going to be a good thing to fill that gap that the 5th graders maybe didn't have that.
Yeah. I know as far back as when I started coaching, I was pushing for a 5th grade independent team plus the 6th A and B.
Yeah.
Because we had those numbers, but now we don't have those numbers for the 6th grade to warrant.
Yeah. I just wanted to point out, I think this is going to be really good for those 5th graders. Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, I think the way you've explained it, we're not changing the ACAs, no money, no nothing. This is strictly just to fill some numbers into a team that we're not filling numbers into.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can have 24 kids playing between the 2 classes, where right now we've got basically 12 to 14 kids playing. That's our goal, is that we can get 12 on each squad.
So do we need to make a motion then to approve
Yes.
that?
I'll make the motion.
Okay. Becky makes a motion. Allison, did you second? All those in favor, raise your hand.
There we go.
Yeah.
5th and 6th grade. That's right.
5th and 6th. Non-action items. Do we have any non-action items? None. New board business. Anything exciting? Nothing exciting? Superintendents report. Maybe.
I'd just throw out a quick kudos to Jana, who puts our board packet together. It's nicely done. You have so many action items on there. She makes it look real easy, and it's not. I mean, every tab you got to click on, there's a bunch of behind the scenes, and it's just not an easy thing to do. And even, you know, if you need anything, she's always at the last second to pop right up, and she's ready to go. So very much appreciated there. So yes. So JD, are you able to pull something up? Okay, great. So JD is going to share with us. He got up very early when they were pouring the concrete on the high school, on the safe room of the high school, and he got his drone out, and I think they started pouring about 1 o'clock in the morning. So he was out and about and took a little footage for us. The during and the after. Pouring the roof, yeah, on top of the high school for the safe room. And if he's pulling that up, we had our first 1 hour delay for our PD, our PLCs, and that went extremely well. Thank all the teachers. They did a great job. They were focused in. Also all of our support staff who had to step up and help out, also our bus drivers and the parents as well. So it was a little bit of a change, but I felt like it was extremely beneficial. So, JD? Blue?
Did you see the puppies?
Oh, there we go. I'm good. Yes.
All right, positive praises. Who wants to start tonight? Allison will start. Yeah.
There's been so many things. I feel like everybody's doing such a good job this year of really keeping things at the forefront of what's going on in the classrooms and in the schools. So the vending machine over at the elementary, I went over and talked to Jamie and saw that, and just a great way to incentivize kids and use it as a reward. And she was talking about just the excitement that she had for getting books in kids' hands. It's really kind of cool too. So if y'all haven't checked it out, go check it out sometime. Caitlin Ellis and Brennan Roby have been working their tails off and getting this Cubs Closet up and going, and getting donations and things put together for that, for some real necessities that some of these kids need. So just a little shout out to them for getting that put together. And if anybody has, you think, oh, I could donate to something, there's a list. If not, message me. I'd be happy to get a list to you. And I'm sure there are items that could probably be used at the high school as well. A lot of those. Jessica Morgan, I think, is doing a great job with the STEAM stuff, putting things on Facebook and keeping it out there of just all the cool things that she's trying to do. There was a picture of Laura Mahiran doing some activity, and her face was and it was just so fun to see the excitement and the engagement. And my other thing that I had is just, I am loving the Unified Lions going over to the elementary and the middle school and kind of having their buddies. I think that's such a cool thing for the little kids to have the big kids to look up to, and to have also the kindergarten buddies, like the fifth graders with the kindergartners, but just with the special needs. It makes me happy.
And to touch on that too, I've talked to high school kids that do that, and they love it. Just makes their day, So I think that's great. And, another thing, last week with homecoming and all the activities that they did at the high school, it was so nice to watch the dodgeball game on the SLNN. That was great, and then the pep rally on Friday. But you could just tell that people were happy, they were smiling, they were having a good time, and so setting a good tone, good culture. So it's great.
Well, first of all, I'm so happy we have a superintendent that knows how to do the roller coaster. He can lead the roller coaster. You didn't say that on your resume, but that's awesome. Okay, so you did a great job on that. But I want to touch on what she further on with the vending machine. I've got a chance to go over there and get it unboxed and everything, and it lights up and it talks. And they get and kind of explaining, because it's a vending machine, it's hard to wrap your head around. It's not where you're going to get chips and a drink. You get a book, and it was just so awesome. And those you'll go with a token, and they'll put the tokens in for maybe like your birthday, or if you've done something a little extra special. So that will be a kind of incentive to get those tokens, and then you'll put that in there and get your book. And I think it was just so exciting, and of course the neon lights flash, and it's so exciting, and hopefully will turn a lot of little minds onto reading. And I love that for our library. I thought that was really good, and hats off to that. I can't wait to see that grow. She's got a lot of books already, but if you do want to do a donation, she would definitely take some kind of, or take money maybe, and purchase more books. And she kind of knows the books that she's got to what possibly she could get. So I loved the whole idea, and it was so much fun, and all the kids were just like beaming. They were just like so excited about it all. So I love that too, and I loved her thinking out of the box of this, because when she said a vending machine, I was like, for what? And it's good because it's a good thing. It's healthy for your mind. All right, that's mine.
Mark.
Just on top of the Lions Unified, Ange does a great job. I was going to talk about that, but you go last. You always get your thunder stolen. But Ange does a fabulous job with that, and she kind of reinvents and does something a little bit different every year. It's fabulous. The Cubs Closet, that's a difficult age for a lot of kids. So if that can help make their life a little bit easier, obviously that's a very transforming child or part of their lives, and that's a great addition. I'd like to thank all the volunteers that help with all the extracurricular activities. We have a lot of people that volunteer their time, whether it be sports related, choir, the arts, whatever it may be. You know, they're obviously volunteers, not getting paid anything, and they're doing it out of the goodness of their heart to help the kids. And I witnessed the Going Girls. I don't know the Going Girls real well. I graduated with their father, but those girls add a little spark to the middle school volleyball program. Not that the coaches don't do a great job, but they add that little extra spark. That's good.
I'll give a shout out to my assistant coach, Terry Backherms, because we got 50 kids down there on the softball field tonight. And Alex had her baby. It's Gus is a new boy. And every day I drop off Macy, we go through the elementary line, and there's a teacher out there. And the other day you was out there, Andrea, and I said, "Oh, do you know Miss Gorham?" She goes, "Yeah." I said, "Is she mean?" She goes, "Oh no, oh no." She's like, we I said, "Well, tell me what you do in her class." She's like, "Oh, we incorporate." I was like, moves and down on the ground and all, you know, you go into a plank or something. She's telling me this whole deal. I don't know what she. Well, she's my youngest, but that's it. That's it. Yeah. Well, she enjoyed that when you did do that. The other thing is the guy next to me. He's everywhere. The other morning I came by and I thought, oh man, we got maintenance people over here working on Saturday morning. It was this guy pressure washing the building out here. You go to a game, he's there. He was on top of the press box with me here a couple weeks ago, and Allison. I look over, and there's this person rolling out of the hole up onto the press box in the middle of the game.
It's terrifying. Leave me alone.
In the middle of the game, and so she's up there during a football game. So we have a lot of board members and a lot of volunteers who actually love the kids, care about the kids, and are here for the right reasons. Definitely so. We appreciate you. My job's gotten a whole lot easier since he's gotten here. We don't talk as much because he seems to be everywhere and he's got a lot of experience, and we appreciate you. We definitely do. Dr. Thurston, he's really not as grumpy as he acts, and we appreciate you as well. And Jana is, you know, I've been the president for 3 years, and Jana's been she takes care of all this. I just show up and talk, go over it, make sure I'm legal with Tom, who's been a great attorney as well. So there's a lot of people who goes into this show that we put on once a month, but we talk a lot during the month to be on top of those things. And JD's, same deal. We saw this guy trying to take a kid's head off in a dodgeball game there on Friday. Then we saw Kellen, who was trying to take his head off on the volleyball game. But we appreciate each and every one of you, and those that come every month. We appreciate you too for being interested in your school and what's going on there as well. Our next regular monthly meeting will be October the 3rd on 2022 at the same time at the same place. Unless I have anything else, huh? It's a week early because fall break. Anything else from anybody before? Yes.
Just looked at Karen and it made me think of it, but my kids, they're very particular about their food, and they have just went on and on about how the pasta bar's back, all the options that they have. But one of the things that my daughter stated was some of the cafeteria workers were actually going around and saying, you know, how do you like this? What do you think? What do we need? You know, what's your thoughts? You know, I just think that's great. I think that's outstanding. Yeah, so good.
Yeah. If there's one thing COVID's taught us, it's that it takes everybody to make this place go, and we definitely appreciate each and every one of you. Next regular monthly meeting, October 3rd, 2022, same place, same time. Anything else? We're all good? Motion? Becky White makes the motion. Allison seconds. All those in favor? We're adjourned.